calls me up out of the blue one day and says, hey man, you wanna go get drinks? Sounds great, man. We sit down at the now defunct Redwood and we started ordering picklebacks. Talked about life.
So what do you want to do with your life in music? Like, where are you at? Here's where I'm at. I have this record that's like, you know, it's like 4 songs. Do you want to be a part of this? And we started rehearsing together for this show coming up. And the idea was like, well, let's just play this one show together.
Almost like when you're like courting someone on a date kind of a thing.
By the time the show had came, we'd written 2 songs together, already planning recording time in January, and the show was on, and we're like, you're into it. You're like, we're having a great time.
Tonight on Band in Seattle, be prepared for some loud and rowdy rock and roll from Dirty Dirty, with a huge wall of sound from nothing more than a bass, drums, vocals, and a whole load of amps, recorded live at Victory Studios. Band in Seattle, uncover the music that moves you.
Hi, my name is Ian Forrester. I sing and play guitar for the band Dirty Dirty.
Hey, I'm Drew Shreve. I play the drums in Dirty Dirty. And when I'm not doing that, I'm a hippie construction worker.
My parents are both musicians, folk musicians, yeah. My dad's been playing guitar since he was 9, so we're coming up on like 50 years. My mom's a singer, and they both play and sing together. So I grew up with jam sessions around the house and a bunch of their friends, you know, playing music, writing together, and then they would go to shows, and I'd come with them if I could. And I, you know, fell in love with listening to music, and I wanted to know how to do it, and I wanted to be a part of it. I was in a small little band with my friends in like junior high, and we were like got on a talent show. First we wrote like a little instrumental song, we were like, talent show, let's go. And that was really exciting for us, and that was always the appeal and the draw to doing the music, was to perform it. I also used to do Shakespeare prior to that. I really enjoyed doing Oberon in A Midsummer Night's Dream. I mean, that was really fun and different, and it was like, you know, he was like the king of the fairies. I also did Laertes in Hamlet, and I found myself kind of tapping into a lot more of myself, like my natural self in that too. He's just like, you know, an angry brother, which I felt as a child, you know. I don't understand. But I balance those two sometimes, depends on my mood. By the time I was 19 and 20, I moved to Seattle and decided, okay, I'm gonna be in a band, I'm gonna do music. I met a bass player at the pizza shop I worked at. I then called up a drummer I knew from school who I hadn't talked to in a few years. And I was like, hey, do you feel like coming to Seattle and like playing in a band? And he's like, okay. I mean, then we started playing new music, and that band was called, it had a couple names, and the last name that we actually stuck with and then started like, we toured with was called Wildlife Indoors. It was a 3-piece, kind of like a little prog rocky, but a lot of the same energy that you hear in Dirty Dirty now, but I had another singer. We went on tour with that band in like 2014. Finally, after years of working with this bass player and stuff, things just kind of got misconstrued a little bit. You know, we didn't really understand each other as much anymore. The band decided to break up. I decided to quit, actually, more specifically. And I spent a long time not playing music. And I started playing bass with a band, Ever So Android, who were friends of mine at the time. They were a 2-piece electronic group that decided they were gonna bring in a bass and drums to kind of fill out their sound and experiment. And I met this cat who was their drummer, Ian Harper. They decided along the way that they weren't gonna be doing the 4-piece thing, so me and Harper just had a studio together, started writing. And we just started gelling. Harper left the band after about a year to focus on some other things in his life. And I started working with another cat named Mark Knowles, who was in a band, Nostalgist. After about 8 months, some family things shifted for him and he decided he needed to move to Phoenix. I had these recordings done, like 4 of the songs that are on Deadline, which is our current release. Figuring out what the next step was, if I was gonna keep doing Dirty Dirty, because after 2 drummers leaving, it was kind of discouraging. I have to think a lot about the next step, because if I'm not like kind of believing in it, then it's hard for me to like give it my whole self. You know? We got a cool show offer. Like, I was still getting emails for Dirty Dirty, but I was like, hey, I don't have a drummer right now, sorry. Like, I appreciate you thinking about me, but... And we finally got this really good show offer, which would be a year ago, with some bands, Monster Watch and Astor House and Trash Dogs at the Tractor. And I was like, I never played the Tractor. I like that venue. And so I called up Drew, who I had known through the scene, you know? We'd actually rehearsed together once for this band when I met Mark, but I decided to work with Mark because he had more availability. And Drew was a perfect balance of the 2 drummers I had prior. Like,
things felt right. And I think by the time we got to the show, we even had new material that we had written, the 2 of us, in that short amount of time. We just knew right then that that was going to happen. He was already in the middle of finishing up an EP, so we went in the studio with me on drums and did just the 2 new tracks that we'd written, and we were able to bring together the tracks that Mark was on, the tracks that I was on, and this brilliant engineer, Derek, that we worked with, was able to mix them all to sound like one cohesive EP. Made this great little amalgamation of the 2 sides that had kind of come together, and we haven't looked back since.
After the break, you'll hear a lot more from Dirty Dirty.
We try to find that warm, happy, almost too loud. I wanted to play a different instrument. I wanted to be a saxophone player, which is what my dad did. You had to start on clarinet, you go to saxophone, and I started on clarinet, and the cork rotted out, and we're already halfway through the school year, so it's too late to rent another instrument, and the only other instrument lying around was a drum set from my dad when he was in his teens, and parents are like, well, drums or quit band, and I'm like, drums, obviously. Got pulled into jazz band in high school. That was where I learned how to play the wild style, I guess. Not loudly, but like it's all ear. Get to school the first day of jazz band, sheet music shows up in front of me, and I'm used to concert band or marching band, which is very disciplined, very like every note is written out for you. And all there were measures of hash marks. Kind of raised my hand nervously, like, teacher, there's no music on the page. Looks at me, he goes, exactly. Oh, okay.
Monochromatic Love, one of my favorite songs right now. There's a real growth and a real build-up to this song. And it's mostly just I feel like a documentation of just the cloudiness and the fear of trying to fall in love. So there's a line in that song, my head feels as big as a whale, swimming through sand with harpoons for hands. And that was the line that sort of like, I was like, I don't know what that means, but I'm feeling that, and I need to write a song about this.
It feels as big as a whale's, swimming through sand, harpoons full of hands. And how can I see impaired I am?
It's interesting to me, when I start thinking about all that, because there's a lot of two-piece bands that I fell in love with that inspired the sustainability of this one. Because like you think about big piece bands and they do a lot of layers, and a lot of times people just have two guitar players just to play the same thing twice as much. And what you get is you get different voicings of that. You get two amplifiers that are voicing it differently. You get two people that are playing it a little differently, and that creates a bigger sound. With technology these days and the affordability of some equipment that I can then multiply, I just have multiple amps that I run through a chain, and then I use pedals to kind of voice the notes differently, So I have one that's running clean, one that's running dirtier. And so when I play a note, you're getting two voices speaking the note, whatever that note is.
The creation of a sound with two people is really interesting. So often as a drummer, you have really one job to do in a band, but the bottom line is you're supposed to keep the rhythm. That's still obviously my job as much as it is Ian's. Normally it's the bass player and the drummer. Well, we only are a bass player and drummer, so it's there to keep the rhythm. So we're also both two halves of the melody. Having a massive wall of sound as two people gives us a huge landscape of dynamic to play with. But then when you have that capability of getting huge, I have huge drums, I hit hard, Ian hits his bass hard, and he's got that beautiful wall of massive amperage he's going on, and he does brilliant, insane noises with his pedals that I've never heard a bass player make before. When you can create that loud, thumpy, huge wall of sound with those cool noises, people start moving. I don't like it when people stand still at a rock show, so if it's quiet, they're standing still. If it's too loud and brash and annoying, they're leaving. We try to find that warm, happy, almost too loud.
Flush Fallout to me is sort of a disassociation with myself a little bit, and that need to change yourself and be someone else for the sake of the greater good. We're in a generation now where there's a lot of conversations and a lot of awareness of the toxic masculinity and the male aggression of the world, which I associate with deeply as being a white man in this world, and what my impact on that is going to be. And thinking about that a lot, this song came out. There's parts of me that I've been conditioned to feel and to be through my male community growing up, always supported with aggression as opposed to sadness. I don't know. That one's a complicated one for me a little bit, I'll give you that.
We'll uncover a lot more about Dirty Dirty.
The dangly earrings and the big mullety hair and this jacket. I wanted one of these jackets forever, and eventually one came to me. I used to do mohawk, asymmetrical kind of stuff a lot. I had like a rat tail for a long time, and then after like a couple of years of that, I was like, I'm sort of sick of it, you know. I got a lot of attention for like changing my hairstyle. So this right now is the first time I've ever looked quite like this, you know, the dangly earrings and like the big mullety hair in this jacket. I wanted one of these jackets forever, and eventually one came to me via a good friend, and now it's like in the wintertime it's warm.
If you look throughout the years, I've rocked a lot of looks on stage. You know, I've had a mohawk, had a flock of seagulls on stage for a while once. That was pretty good. This is probably the most like matching the inside of me as the outside that I've ever become. So I like this one. And the fact that it flies around is just a bit of a bonus. It is a hazard sometimes. It's funny, people ask about with the construction, like, oh, do you hurt yourself? Like, oh, I've had a run-in or two, but really it's drumming. There's more than once I've been coming across with the sticks, and you know, they kind of splinter up off the stick as you're playing, and you hook a lock, and oh, there's a bald spot.
As the core members of this band. And I say core members because recently we've been working with people on the outside of the music part, like publicity, booking, things like that, which has been really nice. You know, and what we want to do, what our future looks like together, because we've actually never been in a band that's been working this hard for this long and hasn't fallen apart yet. And we're both very excited, and we don't plan on falling apart. You know, we want to get some more recordings. We have a lot of new songs that we want to get out, and we feel it's important to get these out soon because they're relevant to us now. Mostly, we're just trying to stay positive and stay creative. Whatever connections we have and whatever people and mediums and outlets that want to receive more of our material and work with us, you know, have us help them out too. We just want to like reinforce these relationships.
I want to travel. Get in a van, get on a cargo ship, I don't care. Travel with Ian, hopefully, with music, with this band. I believe we can do a lot more than we've done. I have to keep reminding myself a lot that we've done all this in the last year. And we did an EP, we've done a ton of shows, we did a mini tour, and we've done this. If we can accomplish that in a year, I can only imagine we can accomplish in more.
What gets me going, I mean, when we went on tour and we were going to different cities and performing our songs and having people who I'd never met, they're nowhere near my friends or my community, and they get it, okay, then this is making a difference somehow. This matters. And I just really want to connect with people the way I felt like I was connected with when I saw live music for the first time. The live show is really where it comes down for me. Like, I can do studio stuff well, but the live show will fuel me. If it's a bad show, then I'm gonna get fueled in this, like, I gotta get better. And if it's a good show, I'm like, oh man, this is wonderful. I wanna share this with everybody. Like, it's a quickening of a life experience and fortifying what it is that you're trying to be and like project out there. That alone is kind of worth it. Like, just kind of putting yourself in the whirlpool of whatever it is, of worldly stuff, you know, whether it's small community stuff or big world stuff, and just seeing how that shapes you and changes you and how well I can translate it, I guess.
bandinseattle.com, where you can find out more about Dirty Dirty and watch their full concert. Tune in next week to uncover more music that moves you on Band in Seattle.